My grandmother used to say to me, the proof is in the pudding. And it was always one of those sayings that I repeated, but I really didn't know what it meant. You know, the proof is in the, what does that even mean? But what it actually means is that if something is really good, you don't have to explain how laborious the process was that went into making it. You don't have to explain how hard you had to work to source the ingredients. The only thing you have to do is say, taste it, try it. You will see for yourself how excellent it is. And the only thing that we're saying about the work of Ummah is taste it, try it. I went and I can say, I have never been in an environment that reminded me more of the prophetic legacy. And it wasn't because there are banners strewn everywhere with the name of Islam and Allah and Muhammad. That really evinces a certain immaturity. We feel that our work has to say Muslim, 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 or we limit our service to members of our own community. This wasn't the way of the Prophet. This isn't the way of our faith. When you go there, yes, it has a conspicuous connection with Islam. I mean, the basmala is behind me. Other than that, it bears utter simplicity in its resemblance to the mission and the approach of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. People are in need of help, and he was trying to deliver that help. They are trying to deliver that help. Tonight, and I'm going to get off stage in just a moment, the theme is live the dream. And I was quipping to some of the staff at Ummah, we will have to get people to morally and to enrich that with some profundity. Because if I told people, let's put on formal clothes and go out to a mansion and live the dream, the last thing they would be thinking about is social engagement, civic mindedness, and activism. But that's precisely what we mean when we say live the dream. We're referencing the legacy of MLK, of Martin Luther King. Of course, live the dream is connected to the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And once a reporter asked Dr. King, if people talk about you in the future, what do you want them to say about you? And one of the things I found absolutely breathtaking was that in that moment, Dr. King did not give some lofty articulation or some, highly worded epitaph about his legacy. He said, just tell people that Dr. King was trying to help somebody. Just like that. And this is what the work of Ummah is about. They are just trying to help people. And perhaps most profoundly, help people to help themselves. All of us have heard the parable about giving someone a fish or teaching them to fish. The programs that you just heard about, these are programs that are literally teaching people to fish. And I just think that this should be a stop, look, and listen moment for all of us. We should be thinking right now about what we can give to contribute to an effort like this. If anybody who knows me, they know I'm a language nerd. I love language. And one of the things that I think is interesting is you can look at the American public and you can look at what terms they're familiar with that involve Muslims. And this gives you some clue of how we aren't in control of our discourse. You ask people, what is Ummah? Most people don't know. But if you ask them, what is Sharia? Or Sharia, everybody knows what that is. If you ask them, what is jihad? They have misconceptions about what that is. What I find absolutely compelling about the work that Ummah is doing is everybody recognizes that this is the work of Ummah, and this is a word, a concept that they're becoming more and more familiar with. And we should be proud to be associated with the community doing this work. I want to congratulate everybody who gave. And I want to tell you, really, and I'm congratulating you. This, watching this very interesting exchange between John and everybody here, it made me proud to be a member of this community. Because these are the things we should be competing for. We should be competing in charity. We should be competing in consideration for others. We should be competing in thoughtfulness. We should be competing in good deeds. I was proud to watch you. I was proud to watch you. And know this, if there is anything I can tell you, and I am absolutely sure about it, wealth does not decrease from charity. This is a promise. When you give your wealth, you are actually safeguarding what you own. And hopefully, God will give you increase. Every time somebody says, give, there's always one part of us that wants to give, and there's another part that's reluctant. We're thinking about the children. We're thinking about, college. We're thinking about the price of some private schools. We're thinking about the car that we need to replace. We're thinking about don't worry about any of that. Don't worry about any of that. Just know that it has been said by the messenger of God that those called upon to give, if they do, God will replace what they gave with something better than it. And if they don't, hopefully they'll be inspired and encouraged to give next time. But don't think about I know the apprehensions because I have them too. I was joking, I looked at the price for college. I spoke at Yale where's my wife? How long ago? I spoke at Yale, a month ago? And I said, what's the tuition now? They said, total cost of attendance, like about $65,000 a year, almost $70,000 a year. I said to my wife, tell my daughter, say bye to Yale, say hi to community college. So I know all of the pressures. I know the things that make you apprehensive. Don't worry about that. You have been given a promise by one that never breaks his promise, that if you give, all that you're giving will be replaced. Don't just give. Just give. If you don't, I'm telling you, you will be kicking yourself. You will say, you know what, I should have gave, but I didn't. I could have gave, but I didn't. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. This is an excellent opportunity. Don't let it pass you by. This is the most essential part of the prophetic legacy. When we attend fundraisers for mosque, the hands are just flying up from every corner of the room. And I am not going to say anything disparaging about the value of a mosque. We love sacred space. But as a student of the Islamic tradition, I will let you in on something. The mosque of the Prophet was very underwhelming. Maybe as large as a football field in length, maybe as large as a football field and a half in width, covered with bamboo stalks and palm leaves. But the reason why that isn't important is because that was not his legacy. His legacy was not bricks and mortar, domes and arches, tapestries and calligraphic pieces. His legacy was an investment in people. That is where he invested his time. That is where he invested his energy. And what Ummah is doing, they are investing in people. And it is not insignificant that they are investing in the under-resourced, the underserved, the forgotten. And many of us have forgotten that this is a constituent part of our faith tradition. The Prophet said, and I'm quoting, أَحْبِبَ الْمَسَاكِينَ وَجَالِسْهُمْ. Love people that are less fortunate than you materially. And then he said, sit with them. It isn't enough that you just say, hey, take some money and, sit with them. Now, due to constraints placed on our time because of professional commitments, familial commitments, perhaps spatial limitations. I don't live in that area. Not all of us can invest that time, that energy, that consideration, that concern with people who have less than us. But Ummah is doing it on our behalf. and we have a duty to support them in this. Please, I'm begging you from the depth of my heart, do not leave them marooned in this work. My mother was the first member of our family to attend college. My mother is a chemist. And I saw firsthand as a child how education dignifies, how education elevates. And that pushed me to excel at my study. My mother wasn't thrilled when I dropped out of Columbia to go study Islam. She wasn't thrilled at that. But she's getting over it. Alhamdulillah. But I saw firsthand how education dignifies, how education elevates. And I'm thinking of the children, the people that live in the neighborhoods of people being served by Ummah. They will set a standard that all of them will try to aspire to.